Hi there and welcome back to the channel. If you've been around, you know that we're talking about count singing and how to teach it even to our younger choirs. And we talked about in the first video what count singing is. It's singing on the written pitches using beat numbers and their divisions instead of lyrics, just like Robert Shaw said many years ago. You can't expect the singers to sing everything all at once at the beginning. You have to take something away. So in this case, we're using count singing in lieu of lyrics. We also talked about the remembering stage of Bloom's taxonomy and how it applies to teaching count singing. First, we have to just give them the information. We just have to say, sing this, and they'll repeat it back to us. And then in the second video, we talked through the understanding and the application of count singing, being that you allow for experiences in your choir rehearsals where you can see that the singers are understanding what these principles are, specifically having them locate where the different rhythms are in the printed score, being able to categorize those rhythms, and also describe how the rhythms are the same or different. The application phase of Bloom's taxonomy is the final part that we'll talk about for our purposes here. But I would say that this is the part where codependence leads to independence. This is the final step in creating independent musicians insofar as count singing is concerned, and that's the application. That's when singers are able to take everything that they remember and understand and apply it or transfer it to a completely different situation. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about how I like to go through all of these three steps. And what I use in my own rehearsals, and I teach people who are mostly grown at this point, but I go back to using the warm-up as a time and a place to teach these concepts rather than within the regular rehearsal. So I can embed these concepts in the warm-up and then transfer that to the regular rehearsal, to the repertoire as we work through that in rehearsal. So if I were going to create a warm-up exercise or exercises to teach count singing, this is what I would do. The first step is I would find a simple melody, a melody that I create or one that's been already created, and I would use my turn, your turn on a neutral syllable. In previous video, I said that you could use a familiar tune, and that certainly is something you could do as well. But for our purposes here, I'm going to use this example here. Here we have a simple melody in the key of D major, 4/4 time. So on a neutral syllable of do, I would sing for the singers, do 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 do. And let's just pretend that there's a rest on that last beat. I'm not quite sure why there's nothing there. And then I would give them an opportunity to sing it back, also on a do. Do 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 do. So that's my simple melody, my turn, your turn. Once I feel as though they've established the ability to sing that on that neutral syllable, then I'm going to take it and this would be displayed. Okay, this could be on I don't know what fandangled things people use on Apple TV or what have you in the classroom, or you could write it out on a piece of poster board, something. From the neutral syllable, then we would go to actually count singing using the subdivisions. 1 and 2 and T and 4 and 1 and 2 and T and don't do anything or say anything through the fictitious fourth beat. And then the third thing I would do is have them play a game where I sing a melody and have them decode how to count sing. And I'm going to use the same rhythms that I used in step 1 and 2, or steps 1 and 2. So that's the eighth notes and the quarter notes. So I would sing it on a neutral syllable, for instance, do 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 do, and have them think through and apply the count singing to it. 1 and 2 and T and 4 and 1 and 2 and T and. If they are successful, great. If they're not, we have to make it shorter. We have to give them less information. So instead I might sing do 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 and see if they can decode that. 1 and 2 and T and 4 and. If that's still too hard, then I would shorten it even more. Do do do. 1 and 2 and. And I might even add in some sort of a gesture to show them where they're going to stop to help with that. And then from there, you can add in some more. Do, 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 do. 1 and 2 and T and 4 and if they're successful with that, you can continue. If they're not, just like when we're rehearsing an actual piece of music, we want to isolate and figure out what the problem is. And what I would say is a couple different things. Either I went too fast in adding more, I added too much, or perhaps this melody is just too hard regardless. Maybe I do need to find something like Mary had a little lamb, right? Do, 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 do. 1 and 2 and T and 4 and 1 and 2 and T and 4 and you hear that repeated pitch. That can be a challenge sometimes. So you do need to go through and think, what is the issue that they're having? Is it too long? Maybe it's too short. Chances are it's not too short. Maybe the pitches, they can't sing those pitches. Maybe they're not starting on the right pitch. You really have to think, you have to listen through to how they're responding to determine what the problem might be. And that's essentially how I would create the warm-up. And I do this, like I said, I do this with teaching solfege. I do this with teaching hard lines in my repertoire. Like I'll take that out of the piece of music that we're working on and I'll put it into a warm-up. Or if I know we're going to have to work on range extension, put it in a warm-up. If I know we're going to maybe have to sing some crazy text, put it in a warm-up. The moral of today's story is put it in a warm-up.